my second guest tonight. You know, if you want to innovate, you find it important, one of the ways to get that done is to get out of the office. Go someplace where the environment's a little bit different. Maybe the environment's a little bit fluid, a little bit changeable, and maybe it's a little uncertain. And then all of a sudden, all the problems that you have at the office that you got to solve innovatively don't appear, the least bit familiar. Then the right hemisphere of your brain, bam, kicks in, and it all appears handleable, all right? Something you can do something about. This next gentleman has kids in soccer, I believe a daughter, but we'll get that clear. And he was asked to go out, kind of on the spur of the moment, and be the coach for a bunch of young kids that were a soccer team, right? And he had a bunch of leftover time. The time allotted for the soccer practice was way too long. And he didn't know what to do. He didn't have enough, he had way too much time. Nobody had told him what to do. And these kids were getting bored and antsy. So he had to come up on the spot with a drill, right, for these young soccer players, and keep them focused and interested in the sport, and he did it. And I love the fact it's so innovative. That's the kind of exercise, if you want to be innovative in business, that will help you get to the next level. So let's welcome him from Faith Regional, one of the top health systems in the entire United States of America. He recruits all the physicians over there. Please welcome our new friend, Jake Claussen, everybody, right here.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, my pleasure.
Great to see you.
I listened to your intro. Did I have it raise your daughter or your son?
It is my daughter.
Okay.
She is 6, and those of you who have
she's
younger
6.
kids know that it's a 45-minute practice that borders on 5 hours. So it's...
So what are you going to do, right?
Right. And
you have to make
the
up
attention
things.
span is about a minute tops, and so you've got to, you can do a lot in 45 minutes with 6-year-old girls.
Absolutely.
It's
and
a little scary.
When they're moving around, that's like variables in a business system or a business process. There's all these things, all these moving variables. Somehow, you've got to figure out a way to get them corralled.
Absolutely. That's well put. That's exactly right. That's
Congratulations to you on that, Jake. Hey, listen, tell me, in broad terms, I mean, we could dive deep into this. You're in a turbulent, fascinating industry.
Yes, sir.
Healthcare is going through dramatic changes, and so you must be forced to be innovative. How do you think about the business right now? What role does innovation play in the strategic unfolding of healthcare today, as far as your organization is concerned?
I think it's a great question. I think as much as anything, Lynn, we are forced to be innovative in that we can't get too caught up in one particular idea. The healthcare targets are changing almost by the week, depending on what Congress is deciding this week or next week.
When you say targets, you mean like carriers versus consumers and patients?
All of those things.
Okay.
How healthcare is going to be delivered by different physicians, how it's going to be paid for, where it's going to be delivered. Is it going to be in the home? Is it going to be in the facility? All of those things are constantly changing.
Yes.
So what's important for us, I think, is to not get so caught up in, well, we need to come up with this idea.
Yeah.
We need to come up with an idea that might work, but we also has to be flexible enough that it allows us to move at a moment's notice.
Let's dive deeper into this, because I think you're actually sitting in the petri dish of the entire economy of America right now, insofar as all these variables. And talk about managing the innovation process. For instance, do you believe then that you need to have Plan B, Plan C, and Plan D kind of in place then, based upon what happens? Is that what you're suggesting?
I think you do need to have contingency plans. I think you also need to not try and come up with so many things on your own. I think that there are people in this country, from a healthcare standpoint, that are doing excellent things, and I think you need to utilize some of those good things that have happened and try to make them your own, while again leaving that option to say, well, we may need to go a completely different way based on our geography, based on our provider list, based on our insurance, et cetera, et cetera.
You mentioned geography. I'm going to veer off again, Jay, because I know you're so bright you can respond to almost anything that goes by you. In this region, how does this region stack up in the healthcare scenario? How does it change, if at all, what you're thinking about? You say, well, we should be thinking about this, but this is Norfolk, so we need to be thinking a little bit about that. Do you do that?
Absolutely. It's really something we look at as from a healthcare delivery standpoint. We have a lot of really good pressure put on us by all of this entire northeast Nebraska and north central Nebraska. If someone, as an example, who lives in Valentine has to already drive 90 or 100 miles to receive health care here,
Right.
the last thing they want to hear, Lynn, is that, well, we'd really like you to go 2 hours down the road to somewhere else because we can't provide that.
To a specialty or...
Correct. So
Yeah.
I think it's a pressure that we thrive on and really enjoy, but I think it makes us really consider what would a larger center do, because in essence we are providing that care on a regional basis and we want everybody to stay here locally.
So now I have a big question to ask. Is it all about strategically building capacity and more departments, more divisions, more specialists, more stuff that we can serve the region with? Or is it about, on the other hand, generating revenue and being more competitive and conveying our unique value proposition and getting patients in the door? Which one of those two things is the most important, the areas of innovation?
The answer to that question is the one I'd really like to know.
Okay. All right.
Honestly,
well, that's an honest answer.
To be honest, I don't think we know. I think what we want to do is center the patient first.
Of course.
If that takes us this way, great. If
Yeah.
that takes us this way, we'll adapt. So as long as I think that patient-centered focus is there, I think it has to be both. Nonprofit organizations specifically, I think are looked at as, well, they can do a lot with a little. And I always like to counter that argument with a sort of really a very simple thing, which is no money, no mission. And so it does have to be profitable, and it does have to, but again, it has to stay patient-centered. So I hate to give you a vague answer or a fence post answer, but I think we're really trying to figure that out.
Well, we're in a transition period.
A bit.
And a transition period can be a fertile time to consider innovation. In fact, you pretty much have to do that.
You have to.
Although there are people, not like you, but there are people that say, wait a minute, this is all shifting so fast, let's do nothing, right? Let's just hold on to what we have, cling to our status quo, whatever that is. And then when it all settles out, then we'll go do something. What's the matter with that as we wrap up, Jake? What's the matter with that strategy instead of being proactive and just pushing forward and saying, hey, we'll do the best we can under the transient circumstances?
Right. I think the problem, if I can call it a problem, with maybe sort of staying still or waiting to see how the dust is going to settle, is that people are going to pass you by. There are far too many people who are going to want to take advantage of your stagnation. And I think that I don't think you want to be irresponsible and just sort of, well, let's just try anything and everything and it doesn't matter the cost or the consequences. However, if you can pull in and rein in some of that creativity and some of that innovation while also being responsible in moving forward,
yes,
you have a much better chance of success. And I think you also have to set yourself up for, you might guess wrong, quite frankly.
I appreciate that. And we're going to have an exercise right now, a little mixing exercise, and I picked up 2 words out of this dialogue: creativity and competitive awareness. The degree to which your competition may take advantage of your mismove or just doing nothing. So I think those 2 words will be the words that we'll be talking about shortly. Thank you so very much,
Thank you
Jake.
for having me.
My pleasure to have you. Faith Regional, there he is. Jake, how about it, ladies and gentlemen?
Norfolk, your people made the difference. Norfolk, you said your heart inside. Norfolk, your people made the difference. Norfolk.